Well, that's just fantastic information and how the church can respond and get involved. And today I am so pleased to welcome Danny Rodriguez to the show.
Welcome.
Nice to be here. Danny, it's so nice to have you. We really appreciate the idea that first you love the Lord, but more importantly, well, that is the most important, yes. But also too, that you are a subject matter expert, sir, on graduating from the university or college. And so today we'd like to spend a little time with you and just talk to you and hear your heart about some of the things that helped you overcome obstacles or challenges that some of our Latino men and women are facing. So welcome to our show today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Listen, Danny, can you talk a little bit about what loving the Lord with all your mind means?
Well, you know, we know that going to church and reading scripture and all of that is really awesome and really good in becoming very knowledgeable about what it means to love Jesus. But he challenges us to go beyond that and to love him wherever we're at, wherever he's called us to.
Amen.
And so, you know, something that I learned while I was at DBU is that intelligence is not something to be scared of. One of my physicists professors told me that, you know, you shouldn't be scared of finding truth, because no matter where you find it, truth is always in Jesus. Whatever truth we find is always going to be part of the Lord's plan, the Lord's will. And so it's really awesome to hear someone who is in the scientific community be able to share that with me.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. Something I really love to do is read and to encourage my students that I teach at my church. I love comic books, and so something that I always tell them is that that's something I like to use. When we saw the movie The Dark Knight, Batman movie, I loved it, and I liked sharing that experience with them, watching it with them. And so I told them, you know, when you see something like that, something that you really enjoy, don't you like to go and share it with your friends and sharing that experience? And it's the same way with loving the Lord. You know, I love the Lord with all my heart. I have this amazing passion for him, and it excites me when I can go and share with other people, I love this Jesus, and you need to come and be part of this because it's going to change your life.
Wow. So you're saying that loving the Lord passionately has been an inspiration for you and also helped you to maybe overcome some challenges.
Yes.
And especially since we're focusing on education, challenges at the university level or challenges at the college level. Can you tell us a little bit or share with us a little bit of how your church, your local church, helped you during your time as a student?
For sure, they were always very understanding when I needed to take a little bit of time away from the church. So, you know, because students have a very complicated schedule, various activities and things like that. And so they were very understanding when I needed to take some time off. They were always calling me to check up, hey, have you done your homework? And as much as I didn't like it, you know, it was great for them to always be doing that. They were always had my back. They were always there to support me, to encourage me. They wanted me to succeed. So it was really awesome to have a church that, not just that I was a part of, but that encouraged me to go and win.
That's awesome. So you had some pretty strong mentors and accountability partners.
Yes.
Sounds like around you, Danny. And what have you done in your personal life to reach out to other young Latino men and to help them overcome their challenges? Are there any things that you could tell our audience today that might encourage them?
Something that I have done with my youth group at my church is that I like to invest in them a lot. I see ministry as very relational, and so for me it's spending a lot of time outside of the church building, spending time with them, learning what they like and their interests and their hobbies, and that comes back and gives me the opportunity to be able to tell them, well, you know, you can use that for the Lord. You love soccer? Awesome. You can go and play soccer, and you can go and minister to the other teammates that you have, to your coaches, to the other teams that you play against. You love baseball, you love painting, whatever your passion is, you can use that for the Lord. And so something that I was able to do is that there's a few students in my church that loved music, and so I was able to mentor them and share with them, and although that isn't their primary calling, they were able to share that with that passion with me, and through that, I was able to encourage them and love on them. And I have one guy who recently went to Texas Tech, and I'm really excited for him. And it was through that relationship that I formed, practicing with him, teaching him music, that I was able to encourage him to do that.
That's awesome. And Danny, your degree is in music worship. Is that correct?
Yes.
You've got a master's in worship leadership. Is that correct? And so you've taken this gift or talent that the Lord has given you, and in essence, you've reached out into the marketplace. You've gone outside of the walls of the church and reached out to young men and encouraged them through your gift. And it's kind of interesting. You mentioned sports ministry. You mentioned arts or ministry, and those are places that maybe sometimes we don't think that we can impact. That we have to only impact our youth inside the church walls. And so I really appreciate that, Dan. I really do. Can you think of another time where you had a challenge that a mentor really came alongside of you and encouraged you from maybe wanting to quit?
Yeah. Well, before I got into my undergrad degree, I had gone through some difficult time during that summer, and so I was very unsure about where the Lord was leading me and where I was going to go, to the point that I didn't even know if I wanted to go to college, even though it had been. I knew it was really great for me. I was a very intelligent student, but I was very unsure, and uncertainty was something that was very new in my life. So Dr. Gus Reyes came up to me and offered me an internship at his church, and he also kind of encouraged me to look into Dallas Baptist University and see if that was the right fit for me. And I wasn't sure yet, but he challenged me in telling me that he loved me so much, but that I could do better. And it's something that really stuck with me and pushed me to go. And you know what? I can do better. This isn't what God wants from me. God wants me to continue to excel, continue to learn, and become more knowledgeable, and to further what I can do, not close the doors on my opportunities.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great word. So you knew you had the love of Jesus Christ in your heart, and then you understood that you had the love of mentors around you that could encourage you.
Yes.
That seems like that made a big impact on your life.
He was a great mentor, and he was one of a number of mentors that mentored me during my time in my undergrad and graduate school. So it's something that's really important, is to always have people that are pouring into you and teaching you and challenging you to go beyond what you can do right now.
That's fantastic.
I love that balance that you talk about, saying, I love you, but you can do better. That as a church body, we can speak that over students, to say that good balance of, we accept you, we care about you, and there's love there, and then the challenge of raising the standards as well. That's very exciting. I know you had mentioned that prior to that point, I heard you speak last week actually, prior to that point when you were struggling, that you had been robbed. Can you share a little bit about that experience and what the Lord taught you through that?
So my senior year at high school, I had always, well, even before then, when I was 15, the Lord called me to ministry, and so I knew my calling was to go and work for the Lord. I didn't know where specifically yet, but I knew that He had called me, and He wanted something for my life. So when I was a senior in high school, I kind of started pushing away from that. I felt a little bit trapped and enclosed, and like I had always been very, my life had been very structured, and I kind of wanted to break away from that. And so I wanted to go to a different university. I wanted to go and do my own thing, and through the robbery, it really hurt me, because saxophone, one of the things they robbed besides my school books and all that was my saxophone. Saxophone was my passion. It was my life. I was in band, and so, you know, that was my thing. And it was through that and being in the hospital for a week and a half and going through the pain and emotional toil and all that came, that really moved me and kind of opened my eyes and told me, you know, God doesn't want that for me. He wants something better for me, and what am I doing? So using that situation, he kind of pushed me and nudged me to the right direction. And it was Dr. Gus Reyes who came along right after that and kind of encouraged me, you know, you can do better. And so that's when I was like, you know what? God's been telling me this whole time that this isn't what He wants for me. He wants me to continue my education.
And that's powerful. It just, when I heard you speak last week and you shared that, it reminded me of the verse that says that the Lord will restore what the locust has taken, and that what is meant for harm, that the Lord will raise up to bless us. And that experience I know was painful, and now you're able to bless so many from what the Lord taught you through that. So it's a testament to who Christ is, and so thank you for sharing that with us, certainly.
I also think it's a testament of your obedience, your willingness to allow someone in authority or someone more mature to have that right to speak into your life. And that may be a challenge that some folks are going through today, Danny, in that, someone's trying to give you advice, someone's trying to approach, or maybe you're in the church and you want to approach a young man or a young lady and give them words of wisdom. Can you talk a little bit about how maybe Dr. Gus approached you and how you allowed him to have that?
Yeah, like how did that call come about, or what did that conversation look like?
Well, he had already established a relationship with me because he had been one of my youth pastors as growing up. So there was already that there. And so that's something that's very important into pouring into someone, is making sure that you, if you can, to have that relationship, form that relationship. And if you don't, to be able to express that you love them and you care about them. And that's why you want to push them to get better. You don't want to push them without that love, because then it becomes very, you're not sure where that's coming from or what the agenda is there. And so you always want to tell them, we love you, we care about you, we want the best for your future, and that's why we want to push you to do this.
That's awesome. They often say that people really don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yeah.
And I think your testimony is really supporting that and saying, and you mentioned it, you were building relationships with young men, this young man that's at Texas Tech now, before you ever had permission to pour into his life.
And I've had the unique opportunity of seeing you with your youth, and you have a lot of fun with them. I see you laughing with them, and I think that establishing a real relationship, an authentic relationship. We have Latinos watching, young men who are watching today. What advice would you give them?
It's always a pleasure for me to be able to learn. Even now that I'm out of school, I continue to learn on my own, read and do as much as I can to continue to expand my knowledge. And so something I would suggest for y'all is to continue your education. It's not going to do anything but open up doors. What you think you can do now is very, very small compared to what you can do once you've gained a wide range of knowledge, of networking with people. It really expands what you can do.
Awesome.
Amen.
Awesome. That's powerful. Thank you
Yes,
so much
thank
for your
you
time
for
today,
being here.
Danny. And one of the things we'd like to share with our audience today is an education summit video that kind of tells how we connect students and universities and opportunities that are out there.